Boom, 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 boom. It's the Lindsey Stirling radio show.
We need one of those like soundboards.
Yes.
That you hit and they're like we'll have Andy make it for us.
Yeah.
You know we'll have one but you hit it and it's the wow 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 but it says like ham instead. Like
yes, ham. It like occurred to me right as I was pressing the button to start that I was like, I need a theme song. Like, why don't
oh my gosh. Okay, you're a musician.
like why don't I have a theme song?
Write your own theme song.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I need to put it on like for sale so that it'll get picked up by Amazon so that then I can officially play it in the app like a real sound.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I want.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Like I don't expect anyone to buy it. I would be embarrassed if someone bought my theme song.
Actually,
would I be embarrassed if someone bought my theme song?
Oh.
Like imagine if people put that as their ringtone.
Yeah. Ooh.
Or their alarm clock.
You just made me think I need like a unique ringtone for you. I should just get one of our TikTok filming videos.
I was going to say, it's got to be more creative than like
the pizza hitting your face should be the sound of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Text me. Just oh no.
That would be amazing. Well, guys, thanks everybody for joining today on our AMP radio show. I really enjoy this every week. I love that I have like a designated time that I get to talk to everybody. And today we have a special guest. We have Brooke that's going to come on in a second here, but
maybe explain. Who's Brooke?
Who the heck is Brooke? Actually, I'm going to text her to remind her, by the way. Like, I hope your kids are in bed because, like, ready when you are, Brooke.
Oh, she's here.
Oh my gosh, she's already on it.
Wow.
Okay, well,
if you would question Brooke's promptness.
I know.
Wow.
Okay, let me first, I'll bring her on before I say what I was about to say. But, so let me just let you guys all know. I see, first in the Discord comments, I see so many comments of Brooke in all caps with like exclamation points behind it. And the cool, like it says cool sister. I hope you don't mean like the cool sister out of the two of us, because if so, I find that offensive.
I mean,
while being true.
Oh yeah. I also want to note that this is going to be a weird one for me because my name is Lindsay, your name is Lindsay. My sister's name is also Brooke.
Right.
So this is just perpetually weird for me.
Yeah, so we've got, so just remind yourself throughout the conversation,
this isn't my Brooke.
This isn't your Brooke, it's my Brooke.
This is your Brooke.
So, yes, with no further ado, I'm gonna bring her on in. Let's bring in Miss Brooke Passey to the chat. Dun, 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 dun. Brooke. Passey.
Hello.
Oh, there she is. No, she's here. How you doing?
Oh.
Well, you were there for a second. Oh. There. Yeah, she's coming
now
in.
You just have to hit
okay.
She's got it.
Oh my gosh, you're a pro. You're punctual. You're all the things. We're so glad to have you today, Brooke. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, a little sister chat. Like, you should see in our Discord chat, they're all like, literally, they just keep writing, Brooke! and like drawn out letters. You've got like a fan club in the Discord here. So I should tell everybody.
Oh, wow, I'm so flattered.
As you should be. Brooke, do you remember even when we were teenagers, I would describe you as my little big sister?
Oh.
Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Yeah, and I always said that because I was like, Brooke you just were very mature from a young age, and I always felt like you gave me such good advice. Like, and especially once we got to college, I was like, Brooke is definitely the more mature, more organized. Anyway, so yeah, props to you, Brooke, for
but thank you.
Absolutely. And I wanted just to talk a little bit about, well, first of all, I was just at your house last week. And so I don't know how you do it. So just tell me, first of all, how do you do all the things you do? Brooke is, you tell them.
Did we lose her?
I don't know.
Yeah, I lost you.
Oh, sorry. Maybe there's just a slight delay. I'm not sure, but I was just saying I was just at your house last week, and I was just amazed at all the things you do on a weekly, daily, hourly basis. So maybe like, how do you do everything you do?
Oh, I mean, I think it's like anybody. We just kind of get into a routine and it becomes normal for us, just the same way you do everything you do.
I don't
Your
know
schedule
that I
is
could-
also pretty crazy.
I definitely feel like balancing the mom life is far more impressive than what we do on a daily basis.
Tell me, have the kids asked you? So for everybody listening, I babysat Brooke's kids last week with my mom's help while Brooke and her husband went on an anniversary. And have they asked you to play pirates?
You know what? I kind of shut that down. I'm I'm not the pirate. I'm not the pirate. You know, they have to wait for you to come back.
No, please tell them, like, I'm not oh gosh. It was so funny because when I got there, like, they immediately asked me to play this pirate game, and Brooke looks at me and you were like, I've never heard of this one. Like, so
yeah, they made it up on the fly.
They made it up on the fly, and something about me must just bring out the pirate in, in everybody.
You're a pirate most times in most shows I've seen you, you're a pirate.
At least for like a solid 5 minutes of the show. So Brooke, I want to talk a little bit about the only pirate at the party. And so everybody in the chat listening, Brooke and I had the wonderful experience to write my memoir together. When I say we, Brooke did all of the actual writing. I would just talk stories at her. So, I mean, first of all, like, maybe talk a little bit about that process and what it was like writing the book. Like, you would literally listen to me talk and then you would make sense of it.
Well, it was so fun, for starters. I had the best time trying to get into your brain. It's a very exciting place to be. So that was very entertaining. But also it was just so fun to be able to like relive, all those experiences through your eyes and kind of bring it to life for everybody else.
I was so impressed with, like, okay, getting inside the mind also of a writer, like the questions you would ask, like, made me really think about some of these fun experiences, but also some of the hard experience and be like, oh, actually, how did I feel when that happened? Like, how did we do that? And I would say that you and I even experienced quite a bit of healing as we wrote the book together.
Yeah, we did. We actually, we kind of dove into a few topics that were pertinent to the both of us. That was really cool to kind of work through together.
Do you want to talk at all about like that experience? Because I know from my experience, it was like, in the book, we talk about how you and I had a bit of a misunderstanding and kind of like a falling out where we both didn't understand where the other one was at. I didn't know how to connect with anyone at the time, and I pushed you away because of that. And I think when we were writing the book, we were still kind of in the middle of healing from that process. Like, I thought we were healed, but like we had I don't know, it was really powerful on my end getting to relive it with you in such a detailed way. I don't know if you felt like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like we did get hugely disconnected during that time period, and we were living together in college, kind of when things went south a little bit. And I think it was just a mixture of, you going through the difficulties that you were facing with anorexia, and me just being very unaware and maybe a little bit like self-absorbed and not being able to like really look outwardly to see what was actually going on. And it just caused, I think, a lot of hurt on both sides. And we didn't, we came to realize where we were both coming from later on, but it's still, our relationship hadn't really mended and gotten back to that place that we used to be until we wrote the book. And then we just got to like really talk about some of these things and be silly together again, and just like do a lot of the things that we used to do, talk about serious things, talk about fun things. And it just kind of like brought it all full circle again and kind of like mended that little break in our relationship.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite parts of the book was when we go through, because I love how in the book it kind of goes through my relationship with it's basically a relationship-based book, because it starts out with like kind of highlighting all these different relationships in my life and the chapters that those relationships filled and the things I learned from them. But the chapter with you and I that kind of wraps that up, it makes me cry every time when I reread it, when I did the audiobook. I saw people ask in the chat who did the audiobook, and that's actually my voice reading it, and Brooke was sitting beside me as I did. We were giggling together. But yeah, it makes me cry every time I read that letter. And I feel like I've gotten to share with so many people since that have said, oh, I don't no longer connect with my mom, or I no longer connect with my brother, and I don't know what happened to us. And I've like, from that experience of you and I'm like, I lost my best friend for a while, which was my sister Brooke. And somehow though, we were able to come back together and heal and be stronger than ever through that and past, which is really amazing. Because once upon a time, I genuinely thought we would never connect again.
Yeah, well, it was weird because the rift kind of happened when we were living together, and then we both kind of went on with our lives and went separate ways, and we didn't have a chance to like be in that secluded zone, to like really go back to where we were until we were working on the book. And then we were, talking to each other every day for hours a day, kind of like we had before. And it just allowed us to mend that. But not to say you have to write a book with someone to mend your relationship.
Well, I feel like, we highly recommend it, but
yeah, if you want to, I'll buy it, send me a,
well, also,
yeah.
I don't remember if, do you remember how I feel like our healing first started? First of all, you wrote me that letter that the book talks about. That's when the healing started. And you had the courage to say, hey, this still hurts. And I don't know what to say about it, but I'm just going to tell you. And then from there, I invited you. And I remember being like, why did I just do this? I invited Brooke on tour with me. And
yes,
we were in an awkward place where we kind of had forced conversation, check-ins every once in a while, just like, how are you? And it was very stiff.
An intimate place to be.
Yes.
Like with somebody physically.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, it was like rooming together again.
What gave you the courage to say yes? Because it took me a lot of courage to ask, and I immediately kind of regretted it. And I'm like, this could be a disaster. But what gave you the courage to be like, okay, I'm going to come on this weird journey with you?
I remember that now that you say that. Like, I'd kind of forgotten that we were in that weird place when you asked me to come. And I do remember thinking, like, is this a good idea? Like, I'm going to be there for 2 whole weeks. What if we can't, what if we don't have anything to say to each other, or, there's too many hurt feelings or whatever. I don't know. I just felt like it was something I couldn't pass up. Like, sometimes opportunities come and you just know that they're not going to come again. And I just knew that was what that was. So I went for it, and it was the best thing I ever did. It was so amazing in so many ways. But for sure, it did start us on the path of like redemption. So.
And sometimes I feel like with relationships, like you have to take these jumps of like these leaps of faith. Like you got to trust your gut and trust love and trust that like things will work out, but that it is a leap of faith sometimes. Let's see. I think you're muted, Brooke.
I'm sitting here thinking, I have a lot of books to write. My family.
I don't know how that happened.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Fish was just saying, she's like, I have a lot of books to write with different family members.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Brooke, I'm curious, what was your favorite, like, did you have a favorite chapter or a favorite part or story in the book?
Okay, you told me you were going to ask this, and so I had to pull it out today. I was like, I don't even remember. But I was just glancing through it, and I think one of my favorite chapters is in the end. It's called Sticks and Stones. It's where we talk about kind of your journey, like taking criticism and, some of the mean things people say and do and how that affects you, but also your realization that like that's their problem, not yours, and that you don't have to be the best to do your best. And yes. I just really love that because I think it's really relatable to everyone. We're all just trying to do our best, and we're all compared to other people, whether it be in our field of work or with our talents or our dreams or whatever. And so and be the best in a way, but most of us won't be the best at probably anything. But, you know, once we just accept our best, I think that's where we find happiness. And I love that.
Yeah, you put that into words so well in the book. And for anyone who hasn't read The Only Pirate at the Party, I'm just going to give it like 2 more toots, boop, boop, because Brooke is such a good writer. Like, I'm not even kidding. You will laugh, you will cry, not because my life is so inspirational and so funny, but because Brooke is so inspirational and so funny in her book. The thoughts that you put into my head, they are very similar to like the weird thoughts that I would think, but you just worded them in such a funny way. I remember there was a chapter that I was trying to read when we were doing the audiobook that we had to come back to because I was laughing so hard and I couldn't get it out. And
I know exactly which chapter.
I won't repeat what it was.
If you read it in the book, you'll know, because I think you like chortle as you say it, or if you listen to the audiobook. Anyway,
maybe you'll have an opinion on this. I see people in the Discord talking about should they read it or should they listen to it. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, I think either. It's really cool that Lindsey was able to read it herself. You know, so if you want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. But I'm a reader. I don't like audiobooks. I like to read things. And so, yeah, I guess it's just personal preference.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, many of you guys know I have like a dyslexia type disorder. It's called cross dominance. And the first chapter of the book talks about how I have a hard time reading. And the guy that was, you know, recording me, as soon as I finished struggling through that first chapter, because I struggle reading,
he's like, oh boy.
Yeah, he literally was like, so this is going to be a long process. And I was like, yes. I'm so sorry. It really is such a good book. I also love how you wrote the childhood chapters. They're just so magical from the mind of a child. And I felt like you perfectly captured like our adventurous little minds that we had when we were children. And anyways, I just love the way you wrote the childhood chapters as well.
Yeah, so. Kids are so fun to write because they just kind of think and say whatever they want. So it gives you a lot of freedom.
Yeah, and I know you're not ready to talk about this yet, but I don't care. I'm just gonna throw it out there. When I was at Brooke's house this last week, she read me some of the book that she is writing right now, and she's getting into the minds of teenagers. And oh my gosh, it is so good. Brooke, you should be so proud of that book.
I can't wait to read it.
Oh, thank you. I'm nervous, but I'm also very excited.
Is there anything you want to say about like what you're working on?
I'd probably call it a contemporary, not like a romance. It's not like your typical romance. It's about teenagers. So it's more like a contemporary coming of age, like first love story. Deals with teenagers. Anyway, it's just all about relationships and friendships and I don't know. I'm excited to write it. It's going well so far, but it's always a nerve-wracking process, but I'm just going to do it anyway.
Let's talk a little bit. Well, first of all, I want to just piggyback off what you said. Guys, I only read like self-help books for some reason, but after Brooke read me some of these chapters of like what she called very rough and a work in progress, I was literally in tears of like just laughter. And then I was in tears of like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet and heartfelt. Wow. Like, and so I was like, I should read some, like, it was almost like a really like feel good, romantic comedy that turned into like a story that you could really learn from. So anyways, just hats off to Brooke, you guys. I'll be really tooting her horn when it's time to, boop, boop, bring that book to life.
So, yeah.
You're so sweet.
Brooke is just so talented. But I want you to also talk a little bit about, like, you and I have shared woes about the writing process. And I feel like there's a lot of people that listen and, you know, come into my Discord that are creatives as well. And whether that's musicians or, so like, just talk about the struggle of like writer's block and, you know, the things we've talked about.
Oh, I think anybody who creates anything knows the struggle of creating. I keep saying that word. But also the struggle of like the comparison and the frustration that comes with disappointment in yourself, you know, when you're trying to create something that you know could be so beautiful and so good if you could just like get it out there. And I just think it's something you just have to sit in, because when we were writing our book, Lindsey, I remember so many times just being like so discouraged, and especially when we couldn't get an agent and a publisher, and you just kept saying like, we're gonna get it, it's fine, like just keep going. And we did new and something that you're passionate about, you care so much, you know, so you're gonna be disappointed, but you just have to kind of take a step back when that happens and say it's just part of the process. Everyone deals with this. And again, I don't have to be the best, I just have to do my best, and that's all I'm gonna do.
That's encouraging to hear, as somebody who has been trying to write basic stuff for like the last, you know, decade of my life, and constantly having writer's block and the inability to move forward. That's really nice to hear.
It is nice to hear. Like when Brooke shared that with me, here I am obviously writing a very different kind of project, but feeling like, it was just like, oh my gosh, Brooke, I'm literally in the same trenches, just feeling so frustrated. And when you feel those feelings, it's impossible not to momentarily feel like alone in it.
Yeah. Like, am I meant to do this?
Yeah. Like I must. Yeah, exactly. And the imposter syndrome of like, who am I fooling? Like, I can't even fool myself. Like, you know,
who's going to read this? Who's going to listen to it?
And you said to me, Brooke, the other day that you had read another book, like, and it made you feel worse. So tell me about that.
Oh, it was so beautiful. It was a book called Love in Other Words. Anyway, it's the same kind of genre that I'm writing, and she just did it so well. And I remember finishing and just being like, I loved the book so much, and then I was like so heartbroken because I was like, I'll never be able to write something that good. But I don't have to, because she already did it, you know? So, you know, I just have to, again, take a step back and be like, okay, I don't have to do what she did. There are still people that can appreciate what I'm going to do. And that doesn't take away, like, her success. A beautiful book, and, you know, hopefully mine will be okay too.
Well, it definitely will be okay. And I just can't say enough how many times I've thought that same thing, where I hear a song and it's like, this is exactly the kind of feeling I was wanting to write for my album, but like, oh, dang it, like I could never do it this way and make it this beautiful. But you're right, there's like endless ways to tell a story. There's endless ways to like arrange notes.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of room for all of us, is like what I just remind myself all the time, is like someone else's success doesn't take away from mine. And I think that, I don't know, that's like a lifelong pursuit of mine, is to like any achievement, it doesn't take anything away from mine.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we can all truly be happy, is when other people's successes are truly celebrated, and, you know, not
just take it as an inspiration.
Yeah. And they don't make us feel less than because of what they did. Like that's a sad place to live in, you know, and sadly we all end up there every once in a while.
Oh yes.
Yep.
The envy is real.
Envy is so some of you guys also may know that I spent a good portion of the pandemic, the great panini, as I like to call it, on Brooke's farm. And I can't even tell you, when people ask me, like, what was your pandemic experience like? I always go right back to your home in my mind. And I just feel so incredibly blessed and lucky that that's where I ended up for those first 4 months.
And it was just such a special time. I'll always look back on that as like a really unique and like blessed, like just a gift. So I'm curious, did you have any favorite, like when you look back on our pandemic experience when me and Mom were both with you, like what are some of your favorite memories from that or things we did?
It was strangely fun. I felt bad. I felt a little guilty enjoying myself as much as I did when I knew there were so many people on the opposite end of the spectrum. But yeah, I just felt so lucky that I got to have my mom and my sister. I got to see more of my family than I had seen like in the last year, that, you know, during a pandemic, while everyone else was like sequestered from theirs. But I just remember making you go horseback riding with me. And like putting you in all my riding clothes. I just have this vivid memory of you like really feeling yourself in my old dirty riding clothes and prancing around in my yard. I think I have a video of it somewhere. I should find it.
Anyway. That was so funny. Yeah, you were giving me all the like the whoa when you sit in the seat. Whoa.
She takes it very seriously, as any good student should.
Yes. Was I a good student, Brooke? Be honest.
You're excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can tell you've ridden a horse in a music video or two.
This is true. I'm grateful for the things you taught me when we were like teenagers. You taught me like little things here and there so that when I filmed Roundtable Rival, I rocked. I look back on the pandemic and I again, just like you were saying, it's like I almost feel guilty that I had such a special time in it. But I think one of my favorite things, and I still recommend people do this all the time. I'm like, you know what you should do? You should watch all the Marvel movies in order, like one night after the other in chronological order. And I remember we did that at the very beginning and I got so into it. It was so fun. And I like
not release date order. Chronological according to the Marvel timeline order.
Thank you for clarifying. Thank you. See, Brooke's a true Marvel fan. I'm a new true Marvel fan. I feel like that honestly turned me into a huge Marvel fan doing that experience.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a superhero movie.
I mean, what's your favorite one? I think I know the answer.
Oh, well, I have a few. What were you gonna say?
I thought you were gonna say Thor Ragnarok.
I was going to say Thor Ragnarok. I also love the Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War. And then I love Avengers. I mean.
The last Avengers movie, I mean, when you watch them in the release, no, not the release, the Marvel timeline order, by the time you get to Endgame, oh my gosh, you were so invested. We were both crying.
Yeah, it's a ride.
So good. I know, and a new Doctor Strange is coming out.
I already have my tickets.
Brooke and I went and watched Spider-Man together.
See, I haven't seen the new Spider-Man.
Oh, wait, what?
Well, so don't say anything. I have avoided spoilers so far.
Okay, I won't spoil it.
And Mark and I are gonna do like a you know
a watch. How have you avoided spoilers?
I have no idea, to be honest. I'm quite lucky that I've avoided spoilers.
She hasn't gotten on her phone in 2 years.
The reason I haven't watched the new Spider-Man is it's kind of a lame reason. When my ex and I broke up, he was British, and that new movie, they went to London, and I was like, I'm not watching that.
Wait, what? That's the reason? Because your ex is from London, and they premiered it in London.
Years ago. No, because the movie took place in
oh!
I was like, I don't want to, watch that. So I just stopped watching them. And now, obviously, enough time has passed that I think I'm going to do a little marathon of Spider-Mans. He's my favorite Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic. I see a lot of people here saying they love Spider-Man. I also saw some people saying Guardian of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of my favorites as well. I just love Mr. Pratt. He's so good.
I don't agree with Marvel at Disney, but that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Don't get her started. We're going to move on because that goes down a whole rabbit hole conversation that we do not need to have today.
Brooke's already experienced Disney with us.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's true. Also, Brooke, before we move on to like a book club, which, by the way, in just a second here, everybody, we're going to start talking about a book that really has been it's been kind of changing for me to read. It's been very eye-opening. It's been validating in certain ways of like, oh my gosh, I've come a long way from the days when I was anorexic to now. But then also sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, I've got a long way to go. So maybe we'll just dive in because for some reason I just introed it. So the book's called More Than a Body. And Brooke, you actually introduced me to this book, I'm pretty sure. You told me that you were reading it. How did you find the book?
I did. I follow the authors on Instagram, actually, Lindsey and Lexi Kite. They run the page Beauty Redefined on Instagram. And they just always post really thoughtful, insightful things about body positivity and etc. And so anyway, I followed them and then they ended up writing a book. And so I, of course, wanted to read it.
So I'm curious, what was your first reaction to the book as you were starting to read it?
To be honest, I was pretty overwhelmed. It is kind of a lot to take in. There's a lot of things that we already know about our perception of beauty and, kind of the beauty industry and the games they play with us. But I don't know, part of me was still just kind of just overwhelmed by all the information and trying to like place myself within it and find out, okay, well, how like inundated and how, how brainwashed am I really? Not brainwashed, that's not the right word. But yeah, just trying to like find out where I fit into this whole idea.
Yes, and just to kind of give a quick recap of what the book is about. I mean, I think the title gives it away a little bit, but it's basically written by two women, they're sisters, and they both struggled with body image and disordered eating by psychology and by media. And they talk about that. And I felt the same way, Brooke, because whenever I've described the book to anybody, they're kind of like, of course, yeah, we all know that like women have a hard time with their body image because of social media. But it's like when I started reading the book, it was a little bit, like you said, almost overwhelming of like, wow, I feel like I've been brainwashed.
It's so much more than that. And they also just kind of like bring to light a lot of the ways that like we, people, ourselves included, we have these good intentions about putting forth like positivity and body positivity. But in a lot of ways, we're actually doing the opposite when we are hyper-focusing on beauty and body in general.
Tell me more about that, because I found that fascinating as well. It was quite a like aha moment for me.
Yeah, well, one of the examples they gave is like, there's like, Dove campaigns or any of the body positive campaigns. A lot of times we'll focus on like every body is beautiful and every age is beautiful, and it's all about being beautiful still. And their point is that we need to start looking at ourselves as more than beautiful. And that doesn't need to be the end all goal that we all have is accepting ourselves once we decide that we're beautiful. But like we're more than our bodies, we're more than our looks. And we need to start talking to people in that way and talking to ourselves in that way. Like, they also talk about the way that we compliment other people and how a lot of times it's very look centered. You look amazing. You've lost so much weight. Oh my gosh. And when we do that, we're just emphasizing the fact that in our society, everyone values looks over all else. So it just made you really, really like step back and consider how you interact with people, how you interact with yourself. If you're propelling that message to the people that you talk to on accident, And, you know, even especially me, like looking at my kids, like how am I propelling that message to my kids? Like you know, made me really take a look at that and make sure that I'm not teaching them that their looks and, you know, being beautiful is their main goal in life. And it's simple things like when, you know, my kids put on a new dress and, you know, someone says, oh, you look so beautiful in that dress. You know, I try to redirect a little bit. Like it's not a bad thing for them to feel beautiful, but I want them to know that, like, how do you feel? How does the dress make you feel? You look so happy wearing that dress. Or, you know, that dress looks like it would be a really fun thing to wear to do this, you know, and make it about what they do, not what they look like.
Yeah. I always thought it was very unusual that we would talk about people in a way, like the amount of times that I've heard someone say, oh, that person aged so gracefully. Even that, I would stop and think, well, what does graceful mean? Like, because they have no wrinkles, or because they still have a youthful appearance, or because, you know, what does that mean? And, you know, it's meant to be a compliment. It's meant to be a positive thing, but it's not, because it still plants that seed from, you know, a tiny baby to somebody old aging gracefully. Like it's still planting those seeds that you have to do certain things so other people think you're graceful or beautiful, and or
you're appreciated for it, you know. And
yes, to that point, they talk in the book about like that very subject and how, you know, we look at these women that age so well and we just esteem them like, wow, like how do they look so young?
Like a glass of fine wine or whatever the term is.
They stop and they say, do you realize what a woman would most likely have to do in her life to be able to do that? Like, that woman probably worries so much about not sleeping on her back, and her sunscreen and all the facial treatments and the surgery and she's possibly gone through and the diet. And it's like, you can either look at someone and be like, wow, they aged so amazingly. Or you can look at someone who never aged and say, what sacrifices did they make in their life to, like, you know, and also see it as to each their own. Yeah. Like, you're allowed to age gracefully. You're allowed to age however you want. But at the end of the day, there is, there's a sacrifice that goes into it, and to only revere the positive and not say, oh, but that means that probably is a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of thought. And when you think constantly about your looks, that's what become most important to you. Yeah. That's what you'll value. And it was just an interesting perspective, because we hear the other perspective all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, Lindsay.
Okay. My aunt and uncle actually have portraits all over their houses of people from around the world that they've, you know, taken photos of that have just so many lines on their face. And I remember asking my aunt one time, like, who are these people? And she said, I just think that people who have laughed their entire lives, and because of that at the age of 80 or 90 have this many laugh lines, I think that's the most beautiful thing in the world. And it rocked me. It absolutely rocked me to the point where I stopped using like the creams and stuff that would get rid of wrinkles, because I thought, oh my gosh, you're right. I want to age in a way where my face shows how much I laughed. It really changed my perception in such a deep, serious way. And I find that I am in the minority there. Like, people don't think that way. People are very concerned about their lines and their wrinkles and what society thinks of that, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, what were you going to say, Brooke, as well?
Oh, I was just going to say, oh shoot, did I lose it?
Oh, it's okay. You'll remember.
I will. I'll remember.
You'll remember, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you worry. But I do think it's made me think a lot. Like, even like you said, Brooke, the compliments you give, are you reinforcing like somebody else's? Because there was a statement in the book where it said, if these things can build you up, like compliments about beauty and feeling good because of the way you look, if it's enough to build you up and make you feel good about yourself, it gives it the power to pull you down and make you feel bad about yourself, if that is what your self-esteem is built on. And it's made me really think about wow, I do compliment women all the time on their looks. Like I saw a friend the other day and I thought to myself, like in my head, I was like, wow, she's lost some weight. But I thought to myself, I don't want to tell her she looks great. Yeah. Like, what have you been doing? Because who knows if that was a healthy loss of weight. And I actually had an experience once, and I won't say any names, but it was a friend of mine's daughter. And she came in, she was a teenager. And I was like, oh my gosh, you look amazing. And, and I just was raving about how great she looked. And when she left, her mom goes, you know what, we're actually really worried about her. We think she has an eating disorder. Oh. And I just you never know what someone's going through. It's never your place to comment on someone's body. And, and it's true. There's 1,000 other things you can talk about, comment about that are way more interesting than someone's shape.
Yeah. I was going to comment. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, how insulting is it though, that you're talking about people who age gracefully, someone at that age has probably accomplished a lot in their life, and to comment on their face and the lack of laugh lines on their face is just so insulting that is what the first thing that people go to, when there's so much more that we can say, about people, and even just complimenting. I know people mean well when they say you look amazing, or you've lost weight or whatever. There's just, if you think about it, if you really think about it and try to focus on it, there's just so many other options, and it's kind of fun to try to compliment people in a little bit more of a meaningful way.
I had somebody recently tell me that they greeted me and they said, you have beautiful energy today. And I was like, oh, thank you.
That's what?
I was like, oh my gosh, that hits differently. That feels really nice.
Yes. And in the book, they basically say you should never comment on someone's weight. That's an absolute no. And even if it comes in the way of you saying, you look amazing when someone maybe has lost weight, that's not a good thing. So never make anything that's about weight. And they even said, they challenged the reader to try to think of anything else besides looks to comment on. And it's been a fun challenge that I've taken on. Like, what else? Yeah, like you said, someone's energy. Yeah. Like, your smile is vibrant. Like, oh my gosh, you're making, you're glowing. You're glowing. Yeah. You're so much fun to be around. Yeah. Like, there's a million.
You're so generous. You're so kind. Like, talented. There's so many things.
I had a breakthrough moment when I was reading this book, and I was like, oh my gosh, I never really thought about this concept before. And so, Brooke, can you, or either of you, Lindsey or Brooke, can you relate to self-objectification, which they talked about a lot, and they said that is when you become the observer of yourself. And it's almost like you're watching yourself walk through your life and do the things you do, and it means that you're almost divided. You become disconnected from yourself because you're not fully there, you're not fully being, you're not fully experiencing. Rather, half of you is kind of watching your body. And so can you relate to that?
I can. I think most girls can, and I never really thought about it until I heard them say it. I actually wrote it down because I was like, whoa. She said, as girls grow up, they are doubled, living her life and also existing outside herself as an observer. And I'm sure that this isn't totally exclusive to girls either. I'm sure there are boys and men out there who experience this as well. But I just didn't really think about it until she said it. But yeah, especially growing up and through those teenage years and even in college, I was always so aware of what I looked like to everyone else. I was an observer, and I think it just takes up so much energy and resources that I could have been putting into a lot of other things instead of worrying about how I looked to people or how I was perceived. I just think that it's we cheat ourselves when we do that.
Right. You can't live fully when you're only half yourself. And it, like you said, you could put that energy into being kind to someone else and having that great energy that you were talking about, Fish, it's impossible to fully embody and also experience fully, take in the moments and live them and love them when you're watching yourself.
But it's so ingrained in us that, that's second nature. That's part of us in a way that we don't
notice it until it is pointed out. And that's not healthy. I mean, it is quite literally the brainwashing, you know, right there on paper for you.
Right.
To be able to stop and be like, oh, wait, I do that. Oh, wait, that's not right. Oh, wait.
Right. Well, and I feel like, because someone was asking me like, well, how do you overcome it? And I thought about that for a while, and I was like, you know, sometimes awareness is half the battle. Like a lot of these books I've read, they talk about just being aware that you're conscious of something, like be aware of the awareness. And that's the first step to overcoming something, because if you don't know you're doing it, you can't help it. And I love this quote from the book. They said, self-objectification is an invisible prison of picturing yourself being looked at instead of fully living. It's policing yourself about what you think others will think when they look at you. When your identity splits, it hinders you from reaching your full potential. And I loved that. I thought it was so powerful and so true. Like, have you guys ever felt the difference between like when you feel like you were fully present and when you feel like you were watching yourself?
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. It's hard to put into words because it is so much a feeling of just suddenly. It's funny. All of our talks always go back to meditation. It really is just this sudden light bulb moment of, oh, I'm here.
I'm here.
I am here. Yeah. I'm no longer watching a TV show of my own life. I'm here.
I had a really cool experience. So I've been just working on myself a lot lately through like meditation and breath work, trying to connect and be more in my body. And especially after reading this whole thing of self-objectification, I was like, I'm really bad at that.
Yeah.
And the other night when we had people over to make pizzas, I made the dough myself, and I remember being really nervous that the dough wasn't going to rise and it wasn't going to work. And you guys should know, I have anxiety, especially social anxiety, and I don't invite people over very often because I get so nervous, and I just, as soon as people start to show up, I can't wait for them to leave, because then I'll know it was okay and I'll know that the night was over. And so it's something I wanted to work on. So anyways, I invited people over to make pizza, and here I was not even knowing if the dough would work. And it was the coolest experience because people came, we laughed, we had a good time. And only after everyone left did I realize, oh, I was fully present.
Yeah.
I didn't worry.
You didn't take a single photo.
I didn't even take a photo. I didn't look at my phone. I was fully present, and I loved the night, and I wasn't worried. And
you even told me, you said, because I was like, what did I say? Something about when should I come over? Or I can't get over there until this time. And you're like, it's okay. I can set everything up myself. I'm okay. I can prep it all.
I can do this.
I was like, okay.
But it's like, it was a powerful moment for me to realize. Like, I don't know. It was really cool.
That. That light bulb moment.
Awesome.
It's a good thing.
Being present.
So here's a question, and Brooke, this is something you and I talked about when we were both reading the book and kind of going back and forth on it, is they talk about all these things like, you know, and you realize, oh my gosh, as a woman, we do so many things, everything from like getting your nails done, to your eyebrows done, to your you know, legs waxed, to like facials, to like getting your hair done, to working out, to like just so like this laundry list of things we do, you know, our nightly facial routines. And it's like, whoa, we do so much for our looks. And so where do you draw the line? We all want to feel pretty. Is that a bad thing? So Brooke, go.
I think it goes back to like awareness. And so I think that's for me, because like I do want to look nice, and I feel like my looks are an outward expression of, you know, kind of my insides. It's a creativity thing too for a lot of people. I think everyone, you know, wants to express themselves, and so we do use our bodies to do that. Our hair, our makeup, our clothes. And I don't think that's wrong. And I don't think that was the point of the book, is to tell us that it's wrong. I think it was just to tell us where we've been influenced and to make us aware of it, so that we can like check ourselves and, you know, take a step back sometimes and say, okay, am I doing this because I've been told that this is how I can be more valued? Or am I doing this because it's something that I, you know, find joy in, and it makes me feel intrinsically good, you know? And sometimes the lines are a little blurred, I think, because it is hard to separate that completely, just in the world we live in. But I think it does help to kind of balance it a little better. And so that's kind of my goal, because, you know, I'm not going to stop wearing makeup and stop washing my face at night and, you know, taking care of my hair. I love my hair. But I'm going to make sure that the things that I do, or I'm doing them, you know, for a good, pure reason, and not because I think it will make me more valued to other people.
Yes. There's a couple comments, like Allie in our chat said, dress to express, not for your looks. Wait, oh man, the comment just moved.
And for anybody who's listening on AMP, when we say chat, we're talking to our Discord community.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can go to our Discord. Yeah, she says dress to express, not for your looks. You know, basically, like it like you said, Brooke, it's a form of expression, and it really is hard to separate, because like the lines are so blurred because of the way we've been raised, because the culture we live in. Oftentimes beauty and self-esteem are almost used interchangeably. Mm-hmm. Like if you feel beautiful, that means you feel good about yourself and you're confident. Like, and the only way to do that is you feel like you're beautiful. And Brooke, what was that quote from the movie we watched the other day? It was The Lost City. There's a part where Sandra Bullock is like, I can't climb up this. Like, I'm not fit, you know? And he goes, no, you're beautiful. And she's like, I didn't say I wasn't beautiful. I said, I cannot climb. Like, I don't think I'm fit enough to climb this wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. He thought that in order for her, like if she's saying I'm not fit, that, and I've gotten that before when I tell people I don't feel like I'm in shape to do a show, they'll be like, you look great. And are you kidding me, Lindsay? And I'm like,
I've said that to you.
I'm like, this isn't about my body shape. This is about my endurance and like the strength of my body. My lungs, arms,
my fingers.
About that though. I recognize now that when I say to somebody, oh, you look great, I'm speaking less about their physical appearance and more about them, just their entity. Like, oh, your thumbs up at you. But the words I'm using aren't going to be taken that way. You know what I mean? Like, look great. Of course we're going to think we mean beauty-wise.
Yeah.
Physical appearance-wise. When I need to come up with a different way of being like, oh, you're good.
I feel like people say that all the time, though, when I'm like trying to get in shape for tour. They're like, you look fantastic. I'm like, no, this isn't about wearing spandex. This is about maybe exactly. So, and they even talk about that a lot in the book. I forgot about that section where they talk about how health is used also interchangeably with beauty. And if you, and so many women feel like, talk more about that, Brooke. I'm trying to remember what exactly you said, but do you remember that section?
Oh, just about how like size is used as a meter for health in our culture. And so like people who are in bigger bodies are automatically seen as less healthy, less fit. And we live in kind of this like fat phobic society, when that's not a gauge of health and fitness at all.
Yeah. Right. So many, they talked in the book sharing like these statistics of how so many women feel like they are capable of being healthy. But really what they're saying is, I don't think that I'm going to be able to look the way I want to look. And in their mind, that means that I'm not fit and I'm not healthy. But that's just not the case.
Yeah.
We're just so zoned to think that one body type means that you are fit. One body type means that you're healthy, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. Like they say that the body mass index thing is all just kind of a lie that was made not even for what it's used for. So
yeah, definitely.
You talked a little bit when we were discussing this, we got on the conversation of dress code and modesty. And that is something that was a huge part of our childhoods and our adolescence, because we were raised in a very conservative community where there was a lot of church functions, and dress codes were enforced. And so Brooke, they talk in the book about dress codes. How do you think that objectification plays into this whole conversation?
Well, I've thought about this a lot in recent years because I'm not really happy with the way that modesty and dress was presented to me growing up. I don't think it was done in a way that like nurtured my development. And so, you know, now I have two little girls, and I, you know, it's just kind of like, where do I find that balance? I haven't really found like, what's the right way? But I did love what they said. When I listened to that portion, I remember just being like, oh my gosh, like, that's it. Like, that's a really great place to start. And they talk about how modesty and putting so much emphasis on what parts of the body, and like kind of deconstructing a girl based on her body parts, like shoulders, knees, you know, all these things that, you know, there sometimes there are different rules and dress codes to cover and what can be showing and what can't. It just kind of like breaks them down into just a body instead of like this entire person. And they're saying that like when that happens, they're objectifying, you know. The base of modesty should be whether or not the clothes that people put on objectifies them more in their own eyes or less. And I think, you know, they brought up a point that that answer is going to be different for everybody, and that's okay, you know, but that needs to be the foundation of it. Like, does what I'm wearing, am I comfortable, and am I using it to objectify myself? Am I using it to like look like a sexual object, or like, you know, in a way that I don't want to? Or am I just wearing it because I like it and I feel good in it, and I you know, it's comfortable. So,
and I can do the things I'm supposed to do in it, you know?
Yeah.
I remember they would sometimes like make us put up our hands in the air to see if our shirt still like covered our stomachs. You know, you're like, but I don't know, like, how long do you want my shirt to be? Like, it's like, good mistake. I don't want it to be at my knees while I'm dancing, or, you know, at the dance. But it is funny how, like, I remember and they talked about this in the book, and I was like, that's so true. They, you know, in this book, primarily, it focuses a lot on women's objectification. I will say that, but it can be applied to anyone. But a lot of times the dress code will be like, boys, you know, like a shirt. You know, and then the girls, it's like, midriff covered, no shoulders bare, back must be up to at least the neckline, like shorts to the knees, or no skirts. Like, it's just this laundry list, and it should just be,
gotta watch out for those sexy ankles.
oh gosh. I had a every time I heard that. Every time a guy got out of control because my ankles.
Wow, look at those ankles. Oh my gosh.
But it's pretty wild to think about it, and how in a way it almost draws more attention.
Yeah, it does.
To it. Like, it's like boys are trained that, oh, so girls' shoulders and their ankles will turn me on if I see them.
Exactly. It's the Streisand effect.
Yeah.
And, you know, they also said that modesty and dress code should be for the wearer, not for the viewer. And I like that a lot. Like, we need to kind of, you know, be introspective about ourselves and teach our kids to do the same, and not have so much of a checklist that, you know, make sure that they're not going to upset anyone else's eyes, you know.
Right. And that you're not doing it to like keep the boys pure.
Yeah.
That's not the purpose here. That's somebody else's responsibility, not yours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was just really interesting. And also, do you feel like it wastes a lot of women's power and energy, the way that we worry about our appearance?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, how much? I remember one time a guy asked me if we were having a conversation about something, and he goes, do you like your nose? And I was like, yeah, I like my nose. And I go, do you like your nose? And he's like, it's funny because I've never thought about it before. And I'm like, you've never thought about whether you like your nose or not? It just blew my mind. I was like, I know every feature of my face and part of my body that I do or don't like.
I've stretched my nose all different ways, looking at like what it would look like if it was bigger or smaller or this tall.
Yeah, we should get that checked out. I'm just kidding. But like, it is funny that it struck me in that moment that I have wasted so much mental energy and capacity on whether or not I like the different features of my body. And like, this man has no idea. He's like never even thought about it before.
I think a really good example of this is your tour crew. Your tour crew is a great in real life example of this. you know, our guys will get up, yeah, gosh, less than 10 minutes before they need to be inside on stage in the morning. And the women, I should not even say the women, myself, I would go out like, you know, an hour early, and I'd make my coffee, and I'd sit down on a moving bus. I'd be, you know, trying to do my makeup, and I'd be pulling, you know, doing my hair and doing all the things and putting on mascara and stabbing myself in the eye as we go over a bump. And I remember there came a day where I looked at Andy or Alec or somebody, and I just went, in my brain, I went, what am I doing? Nobody cares. I don't care. I want another half hour of sleep in the morning. And I just kind of stopped. And I felt great. I really felt great. It just made me realize nobody else is thinking about this but me. But I've been trained to think about this.
Yes.
It was a very eye-opening way of life, I guess, you know?
That's an interesting thing when you realize, like, am I doing this for me? Actually, if I am, great. But if I'm not, then why the heck am I doing it?
If my bags are really bad, I'm going to put on some eye makeup for me.
Yes.
But not because I care about what whoever in that venue thinks about me. They're not going to remember me.
Yeah, I think that I was reading this other book, and it was talking about like Steve Jobs and, you know, these other really successful people who decided that, you know, there's only a certain amount of brain power every day, and making decisions and evaluating things, it takes up a lot of the brain power that you know, it's a limited resource, and you sleep and it recharges. And so they wore the same thing every day. Steve Jobs had a closet full of the same shirt and pants so that he didn't have to think about it and waste his brain power. And I was like, holy cow, women, we waste so much of our brain power trying on like 5 outfits, trying to decide which one's the best look, you know, then doing our hair, like stopping in every reflection we see to just kind of get a quick gauge of if we're still okay. Like, how much brain power? And, you know, to me, I thought, like, that's one of probably the biggest things that holds women back in life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It was just something that really struck me as I was reading this. But Brooke, did you have any other favorite parts of the book, or did we cover a lot of the big things that stood out to you?
I think we covered a lot of it. I mean, it's a really wonderful book, so I think everyone should definitely read it, even though we've, you know, talked their ears off about it.
Talk their ears off. And guess what? Actually, I don't think you know this, Brooke, but I'm going to go even more in depth about it next week, because I'm going to have Lexi and Lacey on.
Yay, Lindsey. There's going to be 3 Lindseys.
I know. We're going to have Lindsey and Lexi. And so it'll be hilarious. But I hope everybody comes back, because I'm really excited to hear about their experience in writing the book and what decision. So
that's so exciting.
A little preview, and then, because honestly, the book we just scratched the surface. It goes so in depth. I really recommend you guys reading it, but hey, if you don't want to read it, just tune in next week to get like a fresh overview. Because I feel like now when I look at myself in the mirror, and if I think those nasty thoughts that we sometimes think, I immediately am reminded of this book. That's like the next thought is, hey, I am more than a body. I've been trained to see myself in a certain way, and I'm choosing today not to, you know, and I would love it. Didn't think those thoughts at all, but this is the next best step to get to that point. And I don't know, how did it affect you?
Me? I think it affected me the most in my interactions with my kids, honestly. I really love them to like look put together, you know, with their hair done and, you know, all those little things, but it's for me, it's not for them. So I've tried to kind of loosen up on that. And, you know, when they tell me they don't want to do their hair, I am trying to say, okay, you don't have to do your hair. It's not your job to look pretty. Because it's not. And I want them to know that, like, your job is not to look pretty. Your job is to be kind to people, to learn, to grow, to, you know, use your talents. But like being pretty, you can do all those things whether or not you look pretty according to everybody else, you know. And I do tell them, I say, you know, if they ask me, or if they put on clothes, I say, oh, I look so beautiful, you know. I say, yes, you do, but you looked beautiful before you put those on. Like, your beauty comes from, you know, your heart and your kindness. And, you know, I just am really trying to hone that in for them, because I feel like it's something that's taken me a long time to get to. So that's the biggest takeaway from me.
Yes, and you're so good at that. I remember one time, I don't even remember what time, but when I was with you and your girls, I said to them one time, I said, oh, you look so pretty, or I said, you look so cute, and you followed it up immediately with yes, and they are so smart, and you like immediately, and I noticed, I was like, oh, yeah, I need to be better. I need to be better at not focusing on just how they look, and so you are so good with that, and you're so intentional with the way you raise your kids, and it's just been like such an inspiration to me. And while I was babysitting them, I definitely was like, all right, I can do this. I can do this. I can continue to be positive, and, you know, like I can, you know, try to speak to them the way that Brooke would speak to them. And anyways, you're such an inspiration, the way that you parent.
Oh, thank you.
It's really amazing.
That means a lot.
But yeah, let's see. Lastly, before I let you go, oh gosh, I also wanted to just going back to our book. So for anybody who's just joining, by the way, I'm talking today with Lindsey Fishman and my sister Brooke, in case you just joined and you don't know what we're talking about. And we talked earlier about writing the book, The Only Pirate of the Party, which is our book. But do you remember any funny stories from our book tour that we went on? Because I do.
Oh,
I'll tell a story.
Hey, you go first.
Sorry, I didn't tell her I was going to talk about this, and that was a while ago.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh.
I mean, going on I want to say 8 years or something.
2016.
So, okay, fine. 6 years. Still, that's a lot.
It feels like 8 or 10.
It feels like forever ago. Oh my gosh. I feel like we were two different people practically, but I remember we would do these book signings, and we'd go to the bookstore or wherever they'd rented a space, and all these people would come and we'd sign, and it was actually very exhausting because hundreds of people would file through this line, and Brooke and I would talk to each person and we'd sign their book, and we were just mentally spent by the end of having all these quick conversations and trying to be engaging. And I remember there was one city where this woman was our liaison. Do you know where I'm going with this?
I do. Keep going.
She was the one that picked us up from the airport, took us to the book signing, and then she was going to take us to the hotel. This woman was it was a 45-minute drive back to the airport hotel. And this woman was just talking our ears off, and Brooke shut down.
Yeah. As an introvert, I only have so much to give.
Yeah, so Brooke just fully, and I saw it happen. I saw her just shut down, and then I had
glazed over, the mouth shut, nothing was happening.
I didn't know if there was anything in there going on. She was comatose state. And I remember we were both also really hungry, and so she was trying to find us food, but she was just talking about her son who just went to college, and
oh my gosh.
and I'm just so tired, just being wow, yeah, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And Brooke just leans forward, she's we don't need food, we're good, just please take us home.
I feel like Andy and Brooke would get along really well in a car ride.
Andy loves Brooke.
Yeah, I see why.
Andy talks about you all the time on tour. He'll just bring up and say oh, that's a Brooke comment, or that's something.
I love Andy.
No, I feel like you guys are soul connected people. You just understand each other. But
yeah.
Anyways, that was one of my favorite, the comatose Brooke after the book. I mean, to be fair, we were exhausted, so I don't blame you. But
what you're saying is that I'm a brat, and I left you high and dry talking to this lady for 45 minutes in the car, and you wouldn't be wrong.
What I'm saying is this woman shouldn't have known that fall asleep. She should have known.
Hey, she had good energy.
She had great energy. Oh my gosh.
What a sweetheart. Bless her.
And you weren't rude. You were just at capacity,
Yeah.
Do you also remember when we almost ate someone's room service that was sitting in the hall?
Now that you mention it, yeah.
It
it was that same night because we were so hungry. We hadn't eaten dinner, and we got to the hotel, and room service was like, "Oh, we're closed for the night." And as we walked through the hall, we're both starving. We see like a half-eaten sandwich.
Oh my gosh!
And
This is pre-COVID. This is pre-COVID.
Well, pre-COVID. And we both looked at each other. And, you know, for the story, I wish we had done it.
Wow.
Like,
ooh,
we didn't. And
I just agree with that.
for the story, though, I wish I could say, and we ate that sandwich.
Oh my gosh.
I judge you often, but I think I might judge you a little.
Well, you are. You're judging me right now.
You're right. I am.
And I don't appreciate it. Brooke, are you judging me?
She's upfront about it. She's upfront about it. So there's that.
You know, that's one thing. At least she says what she thinks, bitch.
Yeah.
This is a perfect example of why I always carry granola bars in my purse for you, Lindsay. You're like a toddler. Like, I have to give you granola bars.
Okay.
Dinner. Oh my gosh.
Literally, though. Okay, moving on. Any other books, tour stories that are coming to mind for you? It was a long time ago, granted.
I'm going to pack my
Oh my
stuff up.
gosh, it was so long ago. I can't remember any off the top of my head, but we had a great time.
We had such a good time, though. Like, it was so great to meet.
It was
people.
literally just like a dream come true. So even that sweet lady in the car, you know, I couldn't spoil that.
I didn't mean to make you look bad. Brooke is the kindest human I know. So.
No, I am not as good at small talk. That is not my forte.
That's not your strong suit. No, it's not. But that's okay.
Look, I'm curious. What did you think of tour life? What did you think of life,
Good question.
on the go like that?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Because I went on tour for the 2 weeks, you know, that we talked about. And then I went back on tour for the whole 9 weeks the next year. And I did, like, you know, a portion of some of the things you do now. It was just...
She was kind of like Fish. She was wardrobe, and she helped out at merch when Brian would get stressed.
Brian was always stressed.
Brian was always stressed. Yeah. I remember there was one day when you literally set up you did his whole job that day.
You were so pissed.
I was.
You were like trying to find me to do something, and for you, and you know, like that we wanted to do, and you're like, "Where have you been?" And I was like, "Oh, I was doing merch." You're like, "Where's Brian been?"
You said he's having a stress day.
Yeah.
Wait. Is that something I can do? No, you didn't hear that.
Wait. Can I have a stress day? Wait.
Lacey's in the chat. Andy's in the chat. There is no such thing as a stress day because Brooke is no longer on tour.
Wait. Let me just write here for the whole tour and say, guys, there's such things as stress days.
Only if you invite me out and tell me how to do your job beforehand.
Oh my gosh, good luck. I don't know half the things she does.
I know. She's like 10 people.
Yeah, could we convince you to come out on tour and bring the girls?
Yes!
Oh my gosh, you don't want them.
I'll have them clean your clothes. I'll have them clean your costume.
Oh, they'd be great at that.
Right?
Poor things. I think their little tiny noses inhaling that smell. I wouldn't wish that on any child.
No.
All their nose hairs would be gone. I reserved that for you specifically. Yeah.
I also made you green smoothies every day. You remember that?
Oh, I forgot about that. Brooke would come around with green juice. Wasn't there a time that like everybody turned down your green juice?
Everybody, yes. And I was like,
walking around with sweet potatoes or something.
and I offered it to everyone, and I think, and now the funny thing is, now I feel like every single one of them would accept. But back then, they were snubbing me so hard. I was little. Yeah.
Brooke would come on the radio. She had a radio, and you'd be like, "Green juice is ready," and nobody would respond.
Or I'd like take who wants a green juice? Like I just need a number, and literally crickets.
Oh my god.
So,
yeah, if you came on tour now, you'd be much more appreciated.
Yeah.
I feel like Eric and Andy and I feel like everybody would want my green juice.
I don't know if anybody appreciates me outside of you.
I appreciate you. I mean, Brooke, you were just before your time, you know?
Yeah.
Just ahead of the curve on all fronts. Do you remember our first show of that U.S. tour when there was like so many things that went wrong? Do you remember the dramatic costume change moment?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the story or should I?
Go ahead. It's probably fresher in your mind, but I just remember it was my first day on tour, right? My first day doing my job.
Yeah, it was the first day you were officially like my costume person, and you know, it was the first show of the tour. We were, you know,
your violin was having problems, right?
Well, the violin there was a lot of things that went wrong that show, and I remember. But the funny one was when you and I were backstage. We had like about 2 minutes worth of a dance break, or 2.5 minutes, where Steve-O and Pete would do this cool dance battle on stage, and I would you and I would change. And they went for about 30 seconds, and then Rob stopped, like thought it was time, and he started moon trance.
Oh no!
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
and your costume changes were like costume changes. Like you weren't just like throwing on a skirt. You were like in the nude, like putting on a new costume.
Right, and it was before. Like nowadays, they're still complicated, but it's more like the entire thing zips up the back. You know, the costume you were helping me get to was like a new pair of pieces.
Oh my god!
And it had what?
There were like sashes and
yeah, there was sashes. There was a full blown corset. She had
Absolutely
to like
not.
try to zip up. Like this was a full on. And so I'm like naked backstage, and we hear the song start, and we both look at each other, just like, what are we gonna do?
yeah, we're just both like panic mode.
And then because we're trying to hurry, of course, it's slower.
Oh, yeah.
Because then we're fumbling things and I can't tie the knot. And
I'm pretty sure you ran out of the little dressing room without like. So I was like, wait, you know, and you're like, gotta go. Like, and I'm like, oh, I had one job.
She's missing her armband. It's funny how a lot of times, and I think I made it onto stage by like the second chorus.
Yeah.
Like it was bad. And they just kept playing the song.
I was going to say, did nobody notice it?
She'll come eventually.
Yeah, they're like, or I guess they made it out by the second verse. So it seemed like this dramatic buildup to like, which was very odd, but you know.
That's really funny.
I feel like something that happens on every tour is the accessories slowly start to become less and less.
Especially the dancers.
Oh, the dancers.
Will just stop. And they'll like, I think they're like testing the water to see if you say anything. But you never do. So they're just like,
wait a second. A week ago, there was a hat and a bandana book and a bracelet.
We always start off so ambitious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm like, you will wear those masquerade masks because we handmade those. Brooke is very aware of the costume debacle. I think you would also like hand Pete and Steve-O their stuff as they ran off stage.
Oh yeah, no, I got like all of their little things ready and set out, and you know.
Yeah, she was doing the thing. Oh my gosh, Allie says it was the San Diego show. You're 100% right, Allie. It was in San Diego. Were you there? That's so funny. But gosh, that was such a fun time. That was like when our tour still felt a little smaller than it is now and just a little more intimate. And that was just such a magical time of touring. I'll always remember.
Yeah. Didn't everyone fit on one bus back then?
Can you believe that? Gosh. All on one bus. By the way, it's Steve-O's birthday today.
Oh.
Then Steve-O, yeah, we love Steve. He was so optimistic and great. Also, that means it's Gavi's birthday too. I was talking about that a little bit.
Yes, I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's a Gavi memory day. So it's always a special day, full of some like, you know, remembering Brooke was also very close with Gavi. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a special one.
He was. Well, are you going to be writing tonight, Brooke? Were you working on your book?
I am, but I'm also joining you for your breath class in 40 minutes. So
Yes. Oh gosh, you guys. Brooke, by the way, I've talked to the fans a little bit about breath work. I probably sound like a crazy person, so now I want you to sound like a crazy person a little bit. Do you enjoy the breath work sessions?
Well, I only have gotten to do one so far because I was out of town last week. But yeah, it's been really cool. I like it. I'm going to make Austin join us tonight.
Oh my gosh, yes, I will be so excited because Austin's going to think it's so weird.
Oh, yeah, he's going to hate it. He's going to hate it.
Okay, can I just say to everybody?
I think he'll hate it, but then he'll like it. You know?
I think so. I think he's going to be uncomfortable, but then he's going to be like, wow, that actually was really relaxing.
See, that's the thing. Is even though it's like kind of uncomfortable at times, 100% after the fact, it is the most refreshing feeling in the entire world.
Yes.
You can't deny that. No one can deny that.
I'm going to actually have Abby. She's my breathwork coach. And yeah, she started doing these weekly sessions with like me and some of my friends and my family. And, but I'm going to have her do one of these audio rooms and possibly even lead breathwork because I think I can't even tell you guys enough. It's like changed my life. It's been, the best way I've found to be kind of in that meditative state and to connect with myself.
It's like a really physical meditation because you're like using your body to breathe deeper and more through it. So,
yeah, because you're focusing.
Austin, he was like, what is it? I'm like, well, it's just basically like oxygenating your blood more than you do normally. That's just. And that's science, in my prenatal classes, like they just talk about that a lot, like oxygen. That's why you breathe so much in like when you're in childbirth and stuff, like breathing is so important. You hear people like doing the breathing, like, whatever. It's because you want to oxygenate your blood. You want more oxygen. That means more oxytocin, less stress, all the things. So it's science, guys.
Guys, it's science. I always love it when mental health pairs up with science. Yeah. I think that's one of the funnest overlaps of the Venn diagrams in the world for me is when I'm like, oh my gosh, this feels good, but also it's scientifically proven. That's cool. And this is definitely one of those things.
I love a good peer-reviewed.
I know. I know. Well, Brooke, I guess I'll see you in the breathing work session in just a little bit here. Thank you so much. I know that this was like bedtime not for you, for your kids. And thank Austin.
Well, you'll have to thank Austin because I got out of it tonight. I'm sitting in the garage by myself while he's putting everyone else to bed. So,
well, I'll text him and say thank you because this was delightful talking to you. Everybody, make sure to go check out Brooke's writing from The Only Pirate of the Party, which is our book together. She's so
cute. Sorry, I just had to do it.
Oh, do I sound that? Oh gosh, what a dork! Now I'm embarrassed.
No, I was shooting my horn, not yours. That was my horn that I was shooting.
Fair enough. I appreciate it. Well, I just love you so much, and thanks for taking the time to chat with us today.
Yes. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Oh, she's just the freaking best. I love Brooke.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And her kids are pretty cute.
They're
special.
pretty darn cute.
I can't say cute. They're
they are very
unique.
They're vibrant.
Yes.
They have wonderful,
they're the only children in this world that have ever made me think, oh, maybe I want kids. And then I quickly backed away from that. But that says something.
Yeah, that says something. They have great sense of humor.
Yes.
They laugh a lot. Anyways, it is funny, that practice of wait, not cute, not cute.
But see, I mean cute in an overall.
Right.
They're Disney-esque.
Yes, because that is the thing. It's people use the word beauty as she's a beautiful soul. And that, and I think it's okay to use those words.
Yeah.
But just always combating it or adding to it maybe more.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way to do it.
Exactly.
They're bright and fun, says Belle. But yes, guys, also thanks for joining. Maybe we'll take one caller. I saw there was somebody, that was trying to come in. So why not? We're going to try to talk to somebody. Here, I'm inviting Mirror Bear in to chat with us. So we'll end with another guest. If he Actually, I couldn't see the picture. I couldn't tell if it was a gentleman or a lady.
Oh, potentially. We could also, if you want, play a song.
Oh my gosh, I forgot.
Yeah.
Brooke gave me songs to play.
Do you want to play one on our way? We'll make it our goodbye song.
Let's see. It says something went wrong with the guest trying to come in. So, wait. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm well here. How are you guys?
We're good. Where are you from?
I am from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I thought your chat tonight was very, it was great because I've written a memoir. I am currently in the process of getting it edited. It's about my traumatic brain injury. So I was wondering if you had any advice on like self-publishing or finding an agent, or, I mean, we're thinking about going the route of self-publishing now, but I was just wondering what the pros and cons were.
Well, to be honest, I've never self-published a book. I only have the one book, and we went with a publisher. And I mean, you definitely split the profits when you go with a publisher, but they also take care of a lot of that legwork for you. But I do know there's really great
I read things on Amazon all the time.
Yes.
I can't, because I looked a lot into, how will I someday publish my children's books when I someday finish them, which will be never. But I read a lot about Amazon publishing through them and the amount. I don't know what they pay, and I don't know any of that.
That's very cool. I didn't know that.
But I read a lot about how easy it is. So take that with a grain of salt. I haven't done my research.
Well, you apparently have.
A little bit.
You've done some.
Not enough. I haven't gone down the rabbit hole.
I've heard good things about self-publishing from people who've done it, that there's like companies you can work with that will help you do all that legwork of like the printing and all of that, to make it doable. So I would say look into it. I think that's great. And congrats on writing a memoir on
amazing.
Something so like personal. And I'm sure it's going to be so inspirational to so many people.
Well, thank you. Yes, my mom and I are alternating chapters telling the story about my journey to recovery from both of our perspectives. And I had a bad skateboard accident. So the book has a huge emphasis on helmet safety.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
And it's like,
well, I see your picture has a picture of you with a helmet on. So that's really cool. I think, and I will say, whenever my sister Brooke, who is just on here, rides her horses, she always wears her helmet.
oh, well, good. That's awesome. Yeah, because you see so many kids rollerblading, biking, and all it takes is an instant, for your life to change forever. And I'm just very grateful to be alive.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for that perspective. Really appreciate it. And thanks for calling in and chatting with us today.
Yeah, good luck.
All right, well, thank you. And have a good night. And it was great talking to y'all, too.
Yeah, let us know in the Discord when your book comes out so we can support you.
All right, well, thank you so much, Lindsey.
Okay, bye.
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 Wow, that's amazing.
I know.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
so inspiring.
Yeah.
We're gonna end with a song. I'm gonna play one song.
Cool.
Maybe let's say goodbye, and then we'll just play the song, and then
We'll just Irish goodbye it.
Yeah,
we said goodbye though.
yeah. Well, because we're gonna say goodbye right now.
Okay.
You see, so it's like it's just like a early goodbye.
Okay. Bye.
I mean, bye everybody. We're gonna end with a song that Brooke actually, I asked her for some music that she liked, and so she gave me two. But I'm gonna play the one that she said it's her favorite song. It's "Anything You Want" by Spoon. So here we go. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Bye.